our regular Board of Education meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Paulette Frias here, Judy Fouché, John Crean,
Here.
Scott Latham,
Here.
Brian Tobin.
Here.
In the event of an emergency, visitors are advised that they may exit this one side door which leads directly into the parking lot. In the event of an emergency, do not attempt to leave in your automobile since this may cause traffic problems and block incoming emergency vehicles.
Thank you, Patty. First on our agenda is the first hearing of visitors. At this time, we request that comments and questions be kept to agenda items only. Does anybody care to address the board at this time? Okay. That brings us to our consent agenda, which is the approval of our minutes from our regular meeting of February 23rd and the budget meetings of March 2nd and March 9th. It also includes our financial matters, which are the schedule of our bills, the treasurer's report for February, the monthly budget status report for February, transfers, extra classroom activities fund, we're surplusing a postal machine, contracted services for the Family Service League for next school year, 22-23, and the CSEs, although I didn't, well, maybe there were. Okay, is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Any questions, comments? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm not going to bore everybody and read this BOCES Joint Cooperative Bidding Program. It's for the 22-23 school year, and it just allows us to buy off of the BOCES bid list. Is that pretty much it in a nutshell? Is there a reason we're doing it in March for the next school year?
This is when it comes out to us and that they do it ahead of time.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the BOCES Joint Cooperative
So moved.
Bidding Program? Brian, second.
Second.
Any questions or comments on it? All in favor? Aye. Old business. Boy, we're moving right along.
You have any old business, right?
No business.
The superintendent's report.
So-
Dr. Morrow.
Yes, so, it's wonderful that the weather has, let up a little bit. I've been able to walk out around the fields. It's great to see the kids out there running around. Middle school's finishing up their season this week, and high school they're at the point where they're starting to scrimmage already. They're a couple weeks into theirs. Our robotics team today won the competition for this region and qualified for Worlds. They went, I believe, 16-0. They were undefeated, 12 in the regular. It was either 16 or 17-0. They looked fantastic. I got the opportunity to watch a number of them on the live stream, and I'm going to go get to see them in the second half of the Hofstra competition on Friday for a little bit. Our play was wonderful. I had a chance to come out and watch it, and I get to see a lot of the rehearsals. It's nice to see the final product for them and how proud they are, but it's even nicer to see the pieces of it coming together as they're building it when I get to walk in the afternoons, because you get to see them interact with each other, not in a play, but as high school students. And it really is a very, very nice thing to see. No different than when you see a team on the bench when they're resting in between working out. They're the same way. They banter and they enjoy themselves and they have fun, and it's really, really nice to see. The play was wonderful. It turned out great, and we're looking forward to, we're in that last push of the year, and it's going to go very fast, and we're looking forward to all the wonderful goings-on that we're going to get to have here. It's nice to do them a little more normally than we did last year, and you see a rise in energy level from the kids all throughout the district, because we're getting to do some of the things we didn't do in the past.
That's it?
Yep.
Good stuff, thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to personnel. We have some people entering and leaving. Leaving the district is Stephanie Oliver. It's just a revised FMLA leave for an additional week. Also, Alyssa Kluber, teacher assistant. Her resignation is effective March 26th. Entering the district, Mary Mraz as a teacher's aide, and Jenny Lynn Boyle as a teacher aide. And entering the district full-time temporary is Caitlin Appel. She's the extension of the guidance counselor leave replacement. And then we have some coaching, assistant varsity baseball, Rich Pisacano, baseball statistician, Mike Carver, assistant varsity softball, Amanda Graziano, boys JV track, Carl Himmelman and Ivan Santiago will share it. We have the wellness committee coordinator, Jessica Santiago, translation for kindergarten, Miriam Huretes, and substitute teacher, Chris Piazza. Any comments or questions about the personnel recommendations? Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Patty, where am I going to put this virtual enterprise? Because it says 16, but 16 is board member comment.
Yeah, I just had to add it to the end, so before board member commentary.
Should we just act on it now, though, really?
That's fine.
Okay. Our virtual enterprise team has advanced to the national round of competition for the first time ever, which is great, in 4 areas: business plan, finance, marketing, and human resources. And we need to approve a trip, or we're being asked to approve a trip for the competition, an overnight trip to Brooklyn. They'll be attending competitions on April 4th through the 6th. Can we have them come and present to one of our board meetings before the end of the year? Because
Absolutely.
I think it's a really cool thing, and a lot of people don't understand what goes on beyond it. I think it'd be great.
After they win the national title.
Is there a motion to approve the trip?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. New business. Anybody got any new business? Finance committee report. Judy's not here, so you want finance with her? We got nothing anyway this time of the year, right? Except budget, which we do in another couple of weeks, which I forgot to write down somewhere. Building committee report.
Nothing to report.
Policy, Scott?
Nothing to report.
That brings us to our second hearing of visitors. This could be a record. At this time, we will entertain comments and questions about anything school-related. We just ask you when you come up to the microphone to state your name and where you live, please. Does anyone care to address the board? Hi.
Dr. Morrow and School Board, my name is Nick Antonucci, and I have 3 children that have went through the school district, and I want to preface my remarks by saying I love this district. I'm very proud of this district. This district has played an integral part in my family and also with the community. And the reason I'm here today is to talk a little bit, not about what happened with the prom situation. I'm not here to point fingers of blame about anything like that. In fact, I'm just asking the board to listen to one person's opinion about something that I feel very strongly about. When we, think about what actually occurred here and some of the missteps that were taking place, we received a communication from Principal Rush, who said at the end of his letter, we want to discuss how we as a community can learn and move forward together. I'm in full agreement of that. And one of the things I want to ask the board to seriously consider is having a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee in the district, especially in a district that's predominantly white. And I feel this is important on so many different levels. And if there really needs to be, to move away from some of the sort of missteps that we see, I think this is a place that where it could start. That's one thing that I'm suggesting on that. I also want to suggest this, and this is from my perspective as a parent talking to my children who are students here. 2 of them are graduated. My daughter is a senior here. When we talk about Black history and Black History Month, my feeling is this: Black history is American history. And one of the things I've noticed through the years of being a parent in this district, I feel we need to lean a little bit harder into that. For instance, lesson plans, and to really go a little bit more than what I've seen walking in the halls of the schools. I haven't been in the elementary school in a long time. It's only recently from the play that I've walked the district, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but my feeling from my children is that there isn't enough being done on that. So that's something I want to say. I also want to mention this. I want to make an offer to the school board. and something for Dr. Morrow to consider. I'm the executive director of a professional development school for educators. We have 2 courses, and we're CTLE certified, New York State Ed. Celebrating Diversity is a course, and I'll send you the information, and the Inclusive Classroom is a course that we offer. I will offer
What was
this
the second one, Mr. Antonucci?
Inclusive Classroom. I want to offer those courses, and they're done online, free for any teacher in the Southold School District. I will pay for it personally because I feel that committed to this. And I feel it's something that I would hope that you would consider and move forward on that. And again, any conversation that you'd like to have about that, I will email you my information regarding that. And then the last thing I just want to mention is I heard a recording, and it could be out of context, about someone saying to students if anyone posts on social media, that they will be suspended or worse. Now, I personally feel First Amendment rights do not stop at the schoolyard gates. And to make that sort of comment to our students, our young adults here, is wrong. And I think something needs to be done. Now, again, it could be out of context.
I'm going to share with you that what you heard was a 33-second cut of a 10-minute conversation after numerous memes of people in our district in KKK clothing and all sorts of other things were posted.
Okay.
The message maybe could have been delivered better, but the message was you're responsible for things that you post online, and it was actually a very meaningful and good lesson that was then taken by not meaningful and not good people and cut up to make it sound exactly the way you heard it. And your hearing of it and your perception of what you heard is very accurate for what you heard. But I can tell you that there were 5 adults in that room, and I have spoken to them, and that was not the context or the meaning behind it. I don't think the kids knew about all of these different things, so they didn't fully understand it either, and that's where I believe we could have done a better job. Like, we had seen them, but many of them had not seen them. So it was more a message of you're responsible for these types of things, and kids do get suspended for these types of things. So it was very much out of context, and I appreciate and value what you were saying in the fact that it may be from the start.
And I appreciate that being clarified. And
yeah.
I really do feel, as you know, for the school board, that message needs to go out a little bit more, because as someone who walks around talking to my neighbors, there's a disparate message that's being sent, and that's gaining a bit more traction, and for obvious reasons. And so, again, I'm here because I love South. I'm proud of this district. And it pained me, like how I felt about what occurred prompted me to come here. You've never seen me here before. I mean, there's things that happen in the district. And this is one of those things that I felt I need to get off of my hands and say something. So I wanted to mention that. So I appreciate what you do as the board, because it's important. And I thank you for your time, guys.
Mr. Anson, can I ask you a question? I believe you're a school teacher, right?
How'd you know?
Lucky guy. Shoreham Wading River, maybe?
No, actually, I'm Sachem School District.
Sachem,
And
okay.
also, I'm a 15-year adjunct professor at Suffolk.
I did know that as well.
And my background's ethnicity and race. That's what my area of concentration was.
Okay,
So-
my question was really not that. I knew you were an educator. But the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, you have such in the school where you're at?
Yeah, we do. I'm on that committee.
And how long ago was that established?
A year and a half ago.
And who was it comprised of?
Educators and our administrators, too. So we have one assistant.
Students as well, I would hope? No?
That's another component. We bring them in when we have certain items, like for assemblies, and we will bring them in for that. But they're not part of what the teachers are
Oh, so it's an
talking
adult, it's
about.
a staff committee?
It's the staff, so we have.
I didn't understand
We
that,
have
so-
an assistant principal who chairs that, or 2 assistant principals at once, and then there are teachers that are part of that.
I think it's a fabulous idea. That's why I wanted more information.
And I'll be
about
glad to
that.
talk to you
What was-
offline on that, and to try to flesh that out.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
and expressing your views.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else? Come on up, just your name and where you live, please.
My name is Jacqueline Hubbard. I live here in Southold. I'm third-generation alumni of Southold. My mother went here. I went here, and my kids are here. My son's graduating this year. So when we talk about race in Southold School and how we've evolved, I've really had a chance to see how far we've come as a school and as a community. And I just have some questions for you guys today. So as the school board, what is zero tolerance to you? Your zero tolerance policies. What does that comprise of when we're talking about like race in the school?
So, what does zero tolerance means? We don't tolerate things. What the outcome of that, not tolerating things means we address all the situations that happen. As far as policy, I don't have them memorized. I wouldn't be able to quote them for you. I apologize.
Okay. Okay, because I know that, there are things that the schools have to do in accordance to New York State law, like Department of Justice law. There's protocol. So, and some of those protocol in reference to race have to be listed in the school handbook, in the curriculum. And that has to be part of the policy and procedure of the student handbook. And that's part of the Dignities for Student Act of 2012. So it does, the questions that you had for the board and, you educated them on. I know that there's supposed to be policies in place as per New York State and as per the Department of Justice to enforce anything that happens with children. And I'm asking because my son was faced with gun violence in the school, and it was gun violence.
Gun violence in the
Yes.
school?
In our school, in this school?
Yes, and it was reported to the principal, and the child told my son that he was going to shoot him and kill him because he's black, and because he's white, he'll be able to get away with it.
This was
And
recent.
this was like 3 years ago. So I think it was Adam's 10th grade year, maybe his 9th grade year. And then my daughter, Jocelyn, her 6th grade year, she was in the school play. And she was Elsa. And Jocelyn was referred to as N-word Elsa. And there was issues. So I don't know how far your policies and procedures go when it comes to racism in the school. But if you guys aren't aware of things that are happening, I think maybe it would be great, if you had a committee, or I had talked to Mr. Rush in reference to the prom situation and what had happened. And I don't think any child that was on that board or, was sitting there for the prom committee were trying to make racial epithets. I don't think they were trying to do that. I do think it was inappropriate for the teacher to try to change, the kids' decisions on what they wanted to wear. If the kids wanted to wear cowboy boots and wear this or wear that, they shouldn't be corrected. It shouldn't be a thing. To look at the venue and to say, oh, it was, plantation-like, is very discouraging. Because in my view, a plantation is a place for human trafficking. It started in, 15-something with King George, and the first plantation was in Ireland. So it's not about black and white. It's about, humanity and looking at that and making a reference to something. It's not all about aesthetics sometimes and how pretty something looks, or, making a reference, because we do need a little sensitivity, I think, in the community, because I haven't seen it growing at all in the last, we all know in the last 8 years it's been horrible, and things have occurred, and there's been situations, but everyone's been silent, and obviously information's not being processed, I think, the way that it should be.
Well, I will just say that the policies, all our policies are up to date. Whenever something changes in the state, we get a notification, and if our policies, whether we have to add one or update a policy, we pay a service to the state.
And I know there's policies, but there's also protocol. So policies are something that are in place that we should be following, right? It's just kind of like when you say like, oh, like we can be prejudiced, but there's a difference between like prejudice and racism. Racism has like an impact on people. Prejudice is just like what we think about people, you know? So when you talk about policies and actual protocol that you should be following, so when that, you know, the incident of gun violence, as an example, that was, my son was subjected to in the school, I was told the kid was a good kid, don't worry about anything, it's fine. But you know what? My sister went to the school. She has a PhD now. She teaches at Lehigh University. My grandmother worked for the police department. We're a good family. She's a good kid. And she told the girl that she was going to cut her, Kimberly. And Monica had to do community service. It didn't matter that my grandmother worked at the police department. And Monica was a good kid, and she was smart, and she was educated, and she had a bright future ahead of her. She did something wrong, and she had to pay the price. There's no recourse for anything, and everyone's just standing by, I guess, because nothing's being done when my kids are being harassed in school.
Are they being harassed currently?
There's been issues, probably 2 or 3 this year.
Really?
So it's just shocking almost that, you know, the principal hasn't communicated this, because I've had communications with him. I've been told when incidents that like gun violence happen, it's reportable, it's like mandatory. It's not just a policy that we can or should or shouldn't follow or something. It's actually, it's something that's not being done. And I think that perpetrates the environment that
Did you
we
report
are
that,
in.
Well, that was 3 years ago, so.
That was like 3 years ago.
So 15, 16, 14?
She was in like the 9th or the 10th grade
Okay.
when that happened. And I've had other incidents where
did-
people have told me that, you know, that Miss I've on the phone, here I go, here's Southold School calling again. Oh God, what is this? Oh, someone called Adam a monkey. Someone said this to Adam, chocolate face, this or that. You guys don't have any, like groups, like, you know, this guy has, you know, his school has certain type of groups together, or even, like I said to Mr. Rush, maybe some people need sensitivity training, especially if like stuff's going to go out to the community and to students. And if you really look at that letter that went out to the students, I don't think it was really right. And it said something about like we're a plantation where the elite and esteemed or something like this or blah, blah, blah go. Like my kids don't, it just didn't seem like, and I said like a plantation doesn't seem like a place like that to me. I don't think about an elite esteemed place where people go that had power and abused power is like something that we should be promoting in the school. I think it was bad taste. I think it was a bad taste of words. If anything, if it was like Mr. Rush had said it was an equestrian style place, it should have been referred to Kentucky Derby ladies country, wear your big hats, you know, the back of the bowl or whatever they call it. More something like that.
I think unfortunately, it was a poor word choice. I don't believe she had any intent behind it. And I'm not saying that it doesn't dredge up everything you just said. I am not diminishing that at all, but I'm saying that I don't believe that there was any intent there to.
Right.
And
I
it
think
was, it was,
sometimes,
you know, it was,
right.
listen, guys, I got to explain this. This is the word I'm going to use, and it was a poor choice, but I believe it was an architectural. I mean, are you familiar with the place up on Cox Neck Road?
I'm not too sure.
It's this big long lawn with a big stately manor type house, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's what the attempt to convey was with a poor word choice.
Right, and I understand that, and I'm not like, I would never like condone anybody for like something that was perceived to some people, but I think it's perceived differently with other people because of capacity. And some people don't have the capacity to see how certain things really do affect other people. So,
I'll give you a personal example. We had a meeting here a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about a surplus that we had because of COVID. And I am very concerned about the kids in the little school, the elementary school, kindergarten, first grade, with language acquisition, especially our Hispanic children. And we were talking about the surplus, and I said to Dr. Morrow, I said, I would like to make sure that we have this money, if we have this surplus, that we direct it towards services for language acquisition in the younger grades, because the Spanish kids are going home to houses that don't speak English. They've stayed home for a year, and they don't speak English at home. The school is the only place they get it, and they're going to be behind. I meant Hispanic. I said Spanish. They're not all
right.
Spanish. They
And
probably aren't any Spanish.
my gripe isn't with Mr. Rush. I have no gripes with the school. I don't feel like anyone's intentionally doing anything wrong, but I do feel like there are policies and procedures that you're not following because you may not be aware of that policy or procedure.
Can I ask you a question, Ms. Hubbard, please? Because I'm very saddened to hear some of the things that have happened to your children in our district, because like you, I'm generational alumni from this district, and I take it very, very personally. What was the reception when these things happened to your children? Was it met with resistance? Was it met with, let's get to the bottom of it and work on this and help our students to learn better? Or was it swept under the rug? Because as board members, to be quite honest, we're not made aware of discipline problems. Gun violence, we should have been made aware of, but we're not administrators. So, and I think Mr. Antonucci knows how a district works, that board members aren't made aware of those kind of issues. I'm concerned about the follow-up of what happened with your children.
Right. So when I feel like I was, we had appropriate conversation, Mr. Rush, myself, the former superintendent. We did talk about the issue. The one thing that I did not appreciate, and I think it's like causes like strife a little, is that everything's very vague. We did X, Y, we contacted the proper authorities. Well, did you call the police or not? Did the kid was spoken to and he was assessed? Was it by someone that is a doctor, or was it someone that, because I'm being told he's a good kid now, and I know that he's good around school, but we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So I think about this every day. I see the child that did it, I see him out and about. I don't think that child is a threat to me, but it's in the back of my head, it's like he could have been. But I'll never really know. I don't know, you know? And then what kind of environment are we perpetrating, like, you know, letting go for other kids to do the same thing and actually, because it's not like, oh my God, we have a problem with this kid and this XYZ happened. It's like, oh my God, we can't believe this happened. It's like that, like every time there's something horrible that happens. It's never because you thought the kid was a good kid and he was having problems. You know, and I think everything is very, oh, we're zero tolerance. We're not going to stand for that, but we're sorry. And that's what I get. We're sorry. I feel like, you know, if a child was to initiate racism towards my child, and then my child reacts towards that, the child that initially said these racial things should be the one that should have severe consequences. It's like saying
we have to do better at many things.
And like I said, as my kid's third generation here at Southold School, I went through the same thing and I saw absolutely nothing. I saw nothing change. Nothing's really changed.
It's not better for your children than it was for you.
My children still get the same type. My kids don't walk around. My kids walk around and they hear racial things every day. My kids do not walk around talking about, oh my God, I'm getting snowed in, like code white. There's certain things that are said and we joke and we laugh because they're kids, right? But at the end of the day, you're breeding an environment for people to be violent towards each other and to have hate. It's like an environment of hate and like entitlement.
Thank you very much for coming and speaking. Would anyone else care to address the board? No? Please don't hesitate. That's what we're here for. I've certainly learned a great deal this evening. No one cares to? Nothing tonight, Kate? Okay. That brings us to our board member commentary. Mr. Tobin. Glad you sat next to me.
Yeah. Just the warm weather's coming. It's nice to see the kids out, mask-free, and enjoying the activities that we offer them. So,
Mr. Latham.
Flip-flop. It's very sad to hear what's been said to Adam and Jocelyn. I'll apologize for that. We we'd like to see things done better. However, we need to get together as parents to get other parents to actually stand up and start parenting, and not just being pals and buddies, and those kids would not be behaving like that. That kid did not threaten your son. That wasn't the first thing he's ever said that should have been taken care of by a parent. There's stuff that we can do here, but I think collectively as a community, we all have to, accept. Anybody can become, everybody can have a kid. Once that happens, you have to be a parent, or else, we're going to see what's going on 10, like this times 10. And I think one of the easiest things to do is to get away from these stupid things. This whole plantation rigmarole we went through, if somebody hadn't picked up the phone and started tapping on the phone and making memes and jipping statements made by a 10-minute conversation into 30 seconds, miscommunications and malcommunications wouldn't have occurred. And we could have had a discussion about, the word plantation and how upset it might have made a couple of students, but it turned into this whirlwind of stupid for no other reason than to some kids, oh, look what I can do, instantly. I'm going to be the old guy now and say, when I was a kid, if I wanted to lash out, I had the time to walk, to find the number, to call the person, or the time to walk down the block to confront the person, to figure out, maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe I should just keep my mouth shut and take the whatever, the
I'm sorry, I just wanted, what was the whole thing? Was it a cyber attack thing that happened with the kids and the police being here?
That's a separate conversation.
that was,
Can I address you guys in reference to that, if you guys don't?
Let Mr. Latham finish, and then you sure can. Let him finish his commentary, then you can certainly get up again.
I'll just cut it down here. We need to do a more active job in our children's lives. This is easy to, here you go, while mommy and daddy have dinner. And it's, at this age. And my daughter's got her snoot in the phone all the time, and get it off the table, it's dinner time. But this digital thing, we already, as adults, foisted an entire year of children onto this. So we have to really double our efforts to get them out of this digital hellhole, I call it, because, you know, things like this happen. Like the threat to the school is just somebody on an anonymous, and it's I don't know the name of the website, but you can talk to people anonymously, which ding, ding, ding is not a good idea. And then it's Russian bots, and I don't even know the extent I know the extent that it goes around the world, but they can get into social media, and that's how they found Southold. They found people that signed up to the Instagram page with their full names. And next thing you know, this whatever person is in the basement, you know, making these threats. And the threat, you can tell, is Eastern European, the articulation and the diction and the text. But it started at, what, 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, the call came to me from the police at 1 in the morning.
We got it at 11:30 last night or whenever it was. And it's for no other reason than just somebody's jollies. And it's the same thing with the memes and the clipping of the audio. I know we're all busy, we're all tired, but we need to impress upon people that are having kids, and we got to do the right thing with our own kids. And then when somebody who is coming up behind you with little kids, listen, this is how you are a good parent. This is what worked for me. What works for you? But we have to get back to that community of, I don't believe it's anybody's responsibility other than me and my wife to teach my kids and raise my kids. But I certainly know that there's a couple in this room that would, if they were acting out, they wouldn't think twice about straightening them out. And that's what we need writ large in the community. And I mean Southold School District, Southold Town, New York State, the entire country. We got to get back to talking to one another, each other again, and not just flying off the handle with these things, because a simple misunderstanding or a wrong word choice turns into a snowball of stupid. Sorry.
Before you get up, how about I let Dr. Morrow speak to, and then it may answer. We should have addressed it, and, yeah. We'll let Dr. Morrow
So,
explain what happened.
there is what's deemed by law enforcement an internet hoax that has been directed at a number of different schools. There's one in Park Slope, there's two in Nassau County, there's some in Manhattan. And they're not sure if it's a live person sitting there trying to cause problems or whether it's a bot, which is kind of like, I had to have this explained to me. It's an artificial intelligence type of program that can do almost what a person can on a computer. So it's the same exact message that was sent to every school, except the school name was different in each one. And then they gather names through, we believe they gathered it through our social media networks that we share information with and that kids sign on to, because the names that were on there were written exactly the way they are on the social media sites. So if someone signed up as Tony M, that's what showed up in the internet threat. That's why we also believe it was a computer. So the message was called in by a good citizen, believe it or not, from Canada, and another one from out in Montana, because they were on this anonymous site talking with people. You go on this site, I can't remember the name, I just tried.
It's an app.
Wordle or Quiggle or...
Yeah, I tried to look it up for you, it's in the letter.
Yes, that's it.
So it's this odd site that you go on and you call yourself friend, stranger, anything but your name. Nobody knows who they are, you talk and you can post things with each other. It's kind of like the Russian roulette of like dating. Like, it's very, you don't never know who you're going to get. The app and the program picks this person, and you're then face to face with them talking and sharing information. It was shared on that. The person looked up Southold Police Department and called them. Actually, a couple different people did. One from the Midwest, one from Canada. Good people, and they said they were not part of the hoax. They said, this is what I saw, this is what was posted. At the same time, a handful of people within our district, including the principal, received this email that said, I'm going to come to school, all that. The Southold PD had already had it for an hour or so before anybody here received it. The FBI's been investigating because there's schools back to the beginning of February that have been getting it. And they then called the high school principal, myself, at 1 a.m. and explained that, this is a hoax. They don't think there'll be a threat, but we will have a presence there just to make people feel more comfortable. And they're working with us to be in and out over the next couple weeks because in it says, it doesn't give an explicit time. So the school in Park Slope, their threat came on February 7th or 8th. The article from Park Slope was written on the 8th. And they've had there's been no action on any of it. When you read it, it doesn't read as, it almost reads as either someone who is not a fluent English speaker wrote it, or it was written by a computerized mechanism. Like, it's grammatically a little bit incorrect. Those messages you get that say that I'm a millionaire from such and such a country, and if you can send me $10,000, I can get you part of my millions. It reads very much like those. The grammar's wrong, and you can tell that it's a little funny. Southold Police was extremely supportive. They had people over here. We were up, a good part of the night and then in very early yesterday, meeting with them so that we could get a message out to all of our families. And then, we didn't release names of students, but if it was one of your kids, you would know because we called and spoke to every family whose name was listed, and had conversations with them about, how to communicate this information to their children. And, so it took a lot of time. I'm grateful that the FBI and all the different police organizations, from the NYPD who dealt with it in Brooklyn to the Nassau Police to Suffolk to Southold, believe that it is a non-credible threat. I'd give up a little bit of sleep for that outcome. So that that was the long and short of it. There are news articles about it. Not just the local ones that were written now. There are some news articles in the city, and they show what is written. And so if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Our apologies, we should have addressed that in
Yep.
the meeting. Dr. Crean?
Well, I do appreciate when people come down to the meetings, and we need to hear from the people in our community, and we don't hear from enough people often enough. Unfortunately, a lot of these meetings, it's, a couple of PTA people and our cameraman. So, we need to, it's nice when we hear the pleasant things, but we need to hear the unpleasant things too. And, there's a lot of educated, knowledgeable people in our community, and over the years, they've prodded us in the right direction. We're part of the community, but we all need help. We all have to help each other. So thanks for coming down and sharing your thoughts and your experiences. Even, we have to hear the bad stuff. And on a pleasant note, I know our combined girls basketball team did very well. I was reading the paper, and I know some of the players, so that was very exciting for the girls. I think it's Greenport and Southold.
Greenport Southold team.
The play was fabulous, and it always amazes me that the talent in such a small community. These kids are really talented. They work hard. It's nice to see that. And then I know our robotics team, which has been tops for a while, and that's also shared, right, with Greenport?
Shared Greenport Southold,
It's
yes.
nice to see those kids doing so well, and I'm very excited that masks have not come back. Fortunately for me, I still have to wear it at work, and I'm just waiting to take mine off. And spring is here, and that's all I have to say.
I'll echo everyone's thoughts. Usually in our commentaries, we sit here and we talk about how proud we are of our school and our achievements, not our achievements, our students' achievements, and I think we should continue to do that. The play was a huge success, amazing talent, amazing kids. We've always said that robotics team, as these guys mentioned, they've qualified for the Worlds. That's a pretty big deal, I guess. Winter sports seasons were very successful. The military ball took place last week. While the military ball was going on, and our administrators were there where they should have been with the students of our Mattituck, Southold, Greenport districts, I was in the front of our school talking to News 12, although I wouldn't be interviewed and I wouldn't go on camera. I just thought they had better things to do. I said, there's, a lot of things going on in the world right now, and you're really going to stand in front of our school, because I thought I was protecting our students, because I knew the robotics kids were still there. I don't think our students really need my protection, but as my school board members know, I'm pretty protective of our district and of our community. There are times where I'm also a little embarrassed and ashamed, and tonight is one of those nights, I have to say, and it hurts me so to say that. I thank you for coming and sharing these thoughts. I'm kind of blown away, and I know we don't always get it right, but I think as we teach our children to do, we have to learn from it, and we have to move on, and we have to grow from it. But we can't bury it, we can't hide it. I love the idea of a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. I think it's one of the most amazing things I've heard at a board meeting in many, many years, and I thank you for bringing it to us. As an alumni here, I can speak to, again, generational, and my kids went here, and you talk about the good kid. Well, it was a good kid. It was a good kid. I like to think that my boys were pretty good kids, and I got a call from the principal, probably more than once, probably for both children more than once. And there's one occasion the principal called and said, so-and-so did this. And I said, well, you do whatever you have to do, and we'll take care of it at home as well. And she, so that's how long ago it was, she was waiting for me to say, well, I'm a board member. My kid wouldn't do that. He's a good kid. I said to the school, you follow your policy and you do what you have to do, and I'll take care of it at home as well. And it goes to what Scott's saying. I'm not sure that we have that anymore, because now, well, it was a good kid, so let's just make them feel better and say, you really shouldn't do that. I think we have to get to the why students say things like they do, and the hurtfulness behind it. I would agree this is a learning experience, and we all know the staff member that made this mistake and how terrible they feel about it. I will not persecute them. I will not do that, because I support them. This individual has done more for our district than many, many staff members over many, many years, and is devastated by this. I don't know that I should say that, but I'm going to say it anyway.
It's too late now.
Yeah, but I think it's important to know that while we can support a staff member because they made a mistake, they've owned this mistake and they've tried to make this mistake better. And I think that we can do the same thing. I hope that Dr. Moore will take back to his administrators the suggestions that were here tonight and the comments that were here tonight. And I think that, like everybody has said, please come to the meetings and express it. There's no repercussions. We're not in the building every day. We don't know a lot of your kids, so we're not going to say, oh, their mother, their father, they spoke at a board meeting, go get them. That's not what we're about. That's never what we've been about. I don't think. I think I'm speaking for all of us that's not what we want here. It's been a rough few days for our district, but there's always good as well, and I'm not naive enough not to recognize that there's also a lot of work we have to do, and I think we'll do it. I hope we'll do it. I'm pretty sure we'll do it. Again, we're probably not always going to get it right, but not everybody always gets it right. I want to thank the Southold Police Department for their guidance in the last few days. I happen to be very close to somebody whose name was on the list, so I know how heart-wrenching this can be and how difficult it is. And again, I think the school handled it as best that they could. They deferred to the people that are knowledgeable about the situation. And yeah, people from foreign countries can get to a little school like Southold is really, really kind of scary. But again, I think my personal feeling is I think the students need to know about it, how it happened, and the dangers of these things happening, the dangers of somebody recording in a staff member and then altering it. That's a big deal to me. I have to tell you, I'm a little ticked off about that. I'm ticked off about the things that we didn't do right, but I'm also ticked off that a student thinks that it's okay to record me. Eric Keel's recording us tonight, and any of you could go home and you could change it all and you could get it out there. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to correct that, but I think that we as adults need to do a better job telling students and grown-ups there's consequences for your actions, regardless of whether you're a child or an adult. And that's it, and I'm sorry to go on so long. I'm grateful that you all came. Please continue to come back.
Would you mind if I make a comment?
Pardon me?
May I make it?
Of course you can.
So, just so that you do understand, we've started doing some of this work already. We had our conference day on Friday, our superintendent's conference day. The keynote speaker was through LIU, trained at Bank Street, and it was about working with diverse students and understanding the different lenses that we all see through and trying to become more knowledgeable about the differences that we all have. Like, all of us can see one thing, and we will all see it differently because we see it through our eyes. And we, part of that keynote presentation was uncomfortable. But the fact is that if we ever want to have change and be able to do things better, you have to deal with the uncomfortableness that these conversations have. And, a number of our follow-up sessions during the day were all about these topics, because they're topics that we've seen a need for in surveys and in speaking with people and just in the way that we operate daily. We're a changing island, yet we don't change really as a group of teachers. We come back the same, and administrators and superintendents, and we come back the same every day. So I would like to reach out to both of you, if that's okay, during the week, just to speak to you, so I can better understand what you spoke about tonight. And then, hopefully as a district, we can continue this work so that we can better serve every student and every family that's in our school district. And that's a learning process for it, and it's an uncomfortable learning process to understand that you, me, and everybody else have our sets of biases that we don't know we have. It's a lot of work to be able to understand them and overcome them so that you can work with all sorts of different people in the same way. So, I do thank you for coming, and Nick, I'll reach out to you also, and if you guys don't mind, just so that I can get some more information. But I did want to let you know that we spent the large part of a day, trying to educate ourselves and learn about, these important topics, because they allow us to serve our kids better, and that's what we're in the job of doing.
And it has to start at the elementary school, I think. Okay, thanks again. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.